All righty, welcome everyone to ThurdAI for January 15th. My name is Alex Volkov. I'm an AI evangelist with weights and biases from CoreWeave, and I am super excited for today's show. If it's not clear yet, I'm super excited for today's show because we have not only do we have tons to cover, today we're going to do a deep dive into agent skills. This is a new thing, new-ish thing. At least it was new for me. We reported back on agent skills when Anthropic released them. Since then, they've been adopted as a open standard across multiple tools and multiple IDEs. And I think that kind of like MCP, though they're completely different. Agent skills is something that the world is still slipping on. Many don't even want to try them. To try them without coding tools used to require a subscription to Cloud Code or Claude. And today we will not only dive deep into them, we're having a guest, Eleanor Berger, is going to join us to talk about them. Uh, I will also share how you can use agent skills without paying Claude. But all of that later. I'm very excited about today's show. If it's not clear, I'm also very excited to add my co-host for today. I have Nistan and Wolfram. What's up, guys? Nistan, how you feeling?
Hey everybody, just I forgot my mic today, but it's super snowy here. You guys want to see? It is
Wow,
just
yeah, show us, show us.
snow. It's just
Nistan
so
is in Toronto. If that's if some folks don't
yeah.
remember, and
It's
Toronto
crazy
is
cold too.
full of snow. That's beautiful.
Yeah,
The textures are missing. It looks I
yeah,
think
yeah.
the textures
We're
are
missing texture right now. It's like,
Wolfram, how you doing, man?
Oh, I'm doing great. So what a week, huh?
What a
Everywhere
week.
Claude is now all over the news again, and skills
Yep.
everywhere.
Yeah.
Amazing.
This
Time
is
for
a
agents.
this is an absolutely anthropic heavy week for folks. We're gonna go through the TLDR and tell you everything that we're going to talk about. Obviously, we're expecting some breaking news always on Thursday because Thursday is when these labs decide, okay, this is our last time to release something before, we don't want to ship on Friday unless you're XAI. Very interesting show today, folks. I will just dive right in and ask you guys what is the biggest highlight of the news for you this week. We'll start with maybe Wolfram and then Nistan.
Yeah, so skills definitely. For me personally, the skills in anti-gravity that they build it in that yeah is great. That's the best thing about the open standards when they proliferate, when they are used by others, and it really is a standard and can be used everywhere. So I'm
Yeah.
using my Claude skills now in anti-gravity and it works. So I'm super happy about that.
That's dope. Nistan, how are you?
I'm on data janitor duty, so uh,
You don't have time to read the news?
no. I read the news. What I liked the most was seeing both Crush and Open Code just end up with an OpenAI deal to use GPT 5.2 Codex.
Yeah.
Because 5.2 just released, and they had day one support for both open source coding harnesses. So that's a very interesting development. But unfortunately, I tried it in open code, but I didn't do any work with them, so I can't. I want to give it a much more thorough test for both.
I want to say there's a few listeners right now, a bunch of folks on the podcast listening, tuning in. Not everybody who listens to us is a developer, is an AI developer, and I think that is very important for us to know as well. A lot of the early adoption of the AI insanity wave has been for developers. A lot of the early strong benefits to the economy came through developers adopting AI. And so we often talk about things like Cursor and Cloud Code and Crush and Open Code, etc. We often talk about them as though everybody who listens to the show knows exactly what we mean. However, some folks are not developers. And for them, Anthropic released a tool this week that is specifically for them to have them experience the same kind of like excitement. Now, I will say this next thing. Everybody who's not a developer, they can still use a lot of these tools just by literally walking through, ChatGPT or your favorite AI agent, have them walk through how to get it started. And the reason to use these tools is because I think it's clear this week more than any other week that I've seen that coding agents or coding harnesses for AIs that we talk about ChatGPT, Claude, etc. They are generalized agents. So if an agent can write code for you to do tasks, it's generally a generalized agent that can do everything else. It can do taxes, it can do cleaning of your desktop, it can do a bunch of stuff. And I think it's never been more clear than this week. And so I would encourage everybody who listens to the show who does not consider themselves a developer, for whom a command line is this, nah, I'm not going to open this type of thing, to open their minds a bit to two things. One, we now in this beautiful, beautiful world where you can learn anything and you can do anything just by having an agent pasting screenshots into it and having walkthrough. Two, all of the developers now, most of us, what we do is we don't write code anymore. We use natural language to achieve the task that we want. And it's this shift, I think, makes non-developers more easily accessible to this world. And so most of what we do right now, or at least a lot of us, is babysitting agents. A lot of us doing PM jobs. Last week on the show, we talked with Ryan Carson, who went mega viral with this like Ralph technique. The whole concept of Ralph technique is there's this much technical stuff you need to do and this much text you need to figure out of how to run your tasks. So I would encourage non-developers to not be shy and just dive in, because the benefits on the other side are wonderful. So this is my little spiel for this week, and I think with this we'll say hi to Jan Peleg, and then we'll dive into the TLDR, because there's a lot to talk about. There's a big show ahead of us, and as a reminder, Eleanor Berger will join us later to talk about AI agent skills, which is a new format. Jan Peleg, welcome. As I asked the other co-hosts, we'll ask you as well, the highlight of this week for you in the world of AI releases?
The anthropic thing, which allows you to
Anthropic
do. What?
Which anthropic thing? There's multiple anthropic things.
I think it's called Cowork.
Cowork,
If I recall, Cowork. I haven't looked into this, but yeah, for sure. I mean, cloud code for the masses, pretty much.
Yes. So we will absolutely dive into Anthropic Cowork, and kind of bringing it back to my spiel to non-developer folks. Cowork from Anthropic is literally that. Is Anthropic realizing that some people will not install a terminal and will not be willing to click things in the terminal, so they built a tool around this, and they vibe coded that tool. With that, I'm very happy to kick off the show. Go ahead, listen.
Remember when we said that we think they're using Claude Code in the web UI because of the way it was compacting conversations? So I think this is just a UI on top of Claude Code. You're still just using Claude Code with this. We need to do some more investigation. Like, can we fire up subtasks in the background? And we need to check this out a bit more.
We'll dive in, and we'll definitely do a live example. I have access to Cloud Code thanks to my manager, who was cool enough to to let me try the Cloud Max tier for a month, because I had to dive in finally with skills, etc. All right, folks, I think we're ready for the TLDR, a section where we basically run through everything that happened this week super quick, in order to make sure that you're not left behind. I think we're ready for the TLDR. Yeah, let's do it. We have a transition. Alrighty, this is the TLDR of everything that happened this week, and this week has been a very busy one. So we'll start with just a welcome to everyone. ThurdAI, January 15. Today with you, Alex Volkov, AI evangelist with Weights and Biases. We have Nistan Tahirai, and we have Jan Peleg and Wolf from Ravenwolf joining us, and we'll see about other ones. And our guest today was Eleanor Berger from Intellectronica. This is the nickname on X. She's going to join us a little bit later to talk about agent skills, all about agent skills. We're going to start with open source LLMs. Baichuan M3. It's a medical LLM. Baichuan released M3, 235 billion medical LLM fine-tuned from Qwen 3, and they claim it beats GPT 5.2 on healthcare benchmarks. And this one is Apache 2, and it tops OpenAI's Health Bench with 65.1 score. We also have a similar named company that's a little bit different. It's called Meituan, I believe. Meituan released Longcat Flash Thinking Agentic MOE. They have a fully MIT licensed model for agentic tasks, scoring 88.2 average on T2 bench, and 73 on BrowserComp. So also super cool. In open source. Not a huge week for open source, but definitely something. DeepSeek released a paper that we're not going to go into because it's super technical, and I'm not sure how useful this is. But DeepSeek often releases like super cool technical things that we will cover, but they're not super useful. So I decided this week has been a big week, so we're going to skip this. In the big companies LLMs, we will celebrate the release of Claude Code for the masses. Claude Cowork. Anthropic launched Claude Cowork, which puts Claude Code's agentic capabilities into the desktop app for non-coders. Also on the web, you give Claude access to a folder, and it can read, write, and create files and write code for you, and you don't even have to know what code is, which is great. We're going to do a deep dive on the show for this. There's a Chrome plugin to use the browser. There's a bunch of stuff. We're going to mention this at length. So if you are interested, and if you never tried to Claude Code because it's too complex, definitely listen to that segment of the show. In big companies LLMs also, we have GPT 5.2 Codex, which is the coding version of GPT 5.2 from OpenAI, finally released via OpenAPI. Before this, it was only available in the Codex app itself. Codex is complex. It's an app. It's a model. Never mind. So GPT 5.2 Codex was finally available in the API. The main users are agent harnesses like Cursor, and Cursor specifically used it to do some incredible stuff we're going to talk about. It's priced the same as GPT 5.2, 1.75 per million tokens. We're going to get to talk about GPT 5.2 because it is great for long-running context. All right, what else do we have? We have in big companies OPIs. We're going to mention that Cursor used GPT 5.2 Codex to create a whole browser from scratch with over 3 million lines of code. So this is an example of GPT 5.2. Google has shipped personal intelligence in Gemini, which means it reasons across your Gmail, YouTube, photos, and search with explicit opt-in controls. It's better in the US and for pro and ultra users, and I've used it. It's really funny when it says, hey, based on your recent Google searches, it looks like you drive this model of a car, but hey, you look for this one. Should I look for some other stuff for you? It's kind of like, I don't use Google a lot for searches lately. Having it know what I search, it's kind of like, it gave me pause, but it's kind of cool. It's kind of cool. It finds pictures across photos. It's dope. We're going to mention this. A personal AI assistant is very important as well. I did not want to cover this, but I know some of my co-hosts would maybe like to. So we're going to run through the drama corner super quick. We don't usually do this. This week, I just had to just make sure that you're not left behind on the drama that's happening. So there's a whole thing with OpenCode, which is an agent harness in the open source that Anthropic kicked off their API, not really their API, but their login system, blah, blah, blah. We're going to chat about this super quick. Apple announced that Gemini will power Siri and not ChatGPT with Apple Intelligence starting running on device in private cloud. That is not usable to any of us until this happens at some point in the future, but a lot of speculation there. OpenAI announced a $10 billion Cerebrus partnerships for 750 megawatts of compute. Cerebrus, obviously, competitor to NVIDIA with their chips, so that's very interesting given the OpenAI and NVIDIA partnership. But that's only starting 2028. And Thinking Machines, multiple co-founders and the CTO returned to OpenAI after being fired for untoward conduct or something, blah, blah, blah. And Sumit Jintala is now the CTO of Thinking Machines. And I'm pretty sure the elves have left for Valinor is a reference to that. If anybody knows what I'm talking about, you're too online, get off, go touch some grass. I think that this is all of the gossipy and the kind of news for this week. Oh, there's also gossip about Grok 4.2 coming out very soon, empowering the US government, blah, 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 something like this. All right, moving on. This week's Buzz, a corner where I cover everything happens in the world of weights and biases core. We've Hacks 3, our hackathon, our main hackathon that we organize ourselves, and we have a bunch of sponsors to help us, is happening. Announcement. This is the first announcement. You guys are the first to hear this. We only put up the page yesterday. I'm inviting judges. It's happening in San Francisco, January 31st and February 1st. You can sign up at luma.com/weavehacks3. Sign up right now because places are running out. The prices are insane. I'm going to be there to MC. All right, moving on. Vision and video. VO 3.1 updated with vertical videos, 9 to 16 vertical videos, and 4K upscaling output for better consistency and improved background details. You can use reference images, pretty cool. We also have a super viral video moment. Somebody posted a Kling motion transfer clip. We mentioned Kling before. I don't think we talked about motion transfer. It allows you to take your motion and put another face on top of it. Somebody posted a clip with all the characters from Stranger Things, and it kind of broke the internet. So we're going to show you this video and talk to you about how to make this. Also in voice and audio, because you kind of have to marry those two together, QTI, the folks who did Moshi before, released Pocket TTS. It's a very tiny 100 million parameter open source TTS that runs on CPU, can run in your browser. It runs 6x real time on a MacBook Air. 6x real time on a MacBook Air. It's super dope. And one last thing, I think, in AI art and diffusion, GLM released GLM image. So, sorry, ZAI released GLM image, a hybrid autoaggressive diffusion model. It's not that great, but it's great that it's open source. And we will talk about this. And last but not least, a deep dive into agent skills. Agent skills are ways to give detailed custom knowledge to your LLMs via composable, repeatable snippets of text, maybe some code as well. We're going to deep dive with Eleanor Berger into skill packs, how to use them, why you use them. And I've built something super cool using the Ralph method from last week and skills from this week. I can't wait to just share with you because it's super, super awesome. So this is our show for today. Super quick TLDR. I will bring back my co-host here and see if I missed anything big, but I wanted to run through this super quick because some people enjoyed that segment, and that's it. This is for the week of January 15th. Let's bring back some folks. Anything big that I missed, folks, that I didn't cover? I didn't cover in depth, but anything big that I missed? Or in the audience, folks in the audience who are listening to us, anything huge that you know that we have to cover and I haven't mentioned in my TLDR, feel free to leave us a comment. All right, let's dive into, should we go into open source? Let's go into open source.
No.
Open source AI, let's get started. Open source AI, let's get it started. All righty, let's get it started. I think we only have the kind of the two-ish models. Folks, I wanted to talk about DeepSeek. They came back with the paper and the training thing, but didn't really see the point because we want to make the show useful for you with stuff that you can use. Some works broke down with DeepSeek release, but I don't know if it's usable unless you're a frontier lab. So we're gonna focus on the open source two releases that we have, which is Baichuan M3 and Meituan Longcat Flash Thinking. We're gonna start with Baichuan. If you guys have any chance to take a look at this, if you want to go, and if not, I can do the TLDR section super quick. Sorry, the executive summary section super quick. Nista, any thoughts on Baichuan? Have you heard about them before at all?
I haven't heard of them, but the model that they used for this, for the fine-tune, was pretty excellent at medical just out of the box. So that's a very good choice to pick for a medical LLM.
Let me give the title and then I'll have you comment on this. So Baichuan releases M3, an open source 235 billion parameter medical LLM that they claim surpasses GPT 5.2 on key health benchmarks like Health MedBench and so health bench total and health bench hard and hallucination rate is lower than others. That's pretty cool. And I think this comes on. Last week we also talked about medical instant, if you remember. So this comes on the heels of OpenAI releasing OpenAI for healthcare. Anthropic this week also mentioned that they're releasing a bunch of connectors, Anthropic for healthcare and HIPAA compliance, etc. And now we have this like open source. Chinese open source AI that fine tunes Quen, right? This is a Quen fine tune.
Yeah, it's 22B active parameters and 235B. So you can actually run this on, like, if a doctor wants to run it, they can actually run it at a usable speed. They would have to get an M3 Ultra machine, and then that would fit in there. But the model that they fine-tuned it from, the Quen 3 MOE, had very good medical performance, but also very good medical performance in multilingual mode. So I actually used that one quite a bit to do data set generation and data processing for LLM conversations. So this is, if you're going to make a medical fine tune or a medical model, this is an excellent choice to start off from. Now, I haven't seen how their fine tuning ends up being in multilingual mode, because again, that's pretty important healthcare wise. Like, that's one of the things of local AI that a lot of countries they want to run their own. And I just want to say that the health bench, I also wrote Open Health Bench as part of medical notes, on device med notes on Hugging Face. This type of benchmarking is rubric based benchmarking, so it's about 1,800 questions. I might be inaccurate on that, but the way that it is judged is not judged on if it's the right answer or not. It has to be judged by another LLM, and the other LLM has to look through a rubric like a doctor would or a medical student would, and they have to judge that, hey, is this getting it correctly? Is it generating the SOAP note correctly, etc. So I'm trying to, it's a very hard benchmark to fool in this regard, because it doesn't check on answers. And I do find it very interesting that they picked it, and a very good choice that they tried to optimize for that, because again, you're not optimizing for just getting the right answer, A, B, C, D. You have to also convince the other. It's an LLM as a judge, which is what your workshops have been, Alex. Like, the whole benchmark is an LLM as a judge benchmark.
So basically, another AI judging the outputs of this AI, whether or not it hit the goal based on a few rubrics that are predefined.
Yeah. The only drawback is that AI is still stuck on GPT 4.1, but that's a very good model to begin with. Like, it's pretty good at judging. We would have liked to see, when they made the benchmark, for them to have used an open source model that everyone can just run on their own. But we'll see more of that. And I think people should also do this for non-medical fine tunes, even for anything else like writing style or stuff. LLM as a judge is the way to go with benchmarking. It does make it more complicated, obviously.
Yeah. I will say, just out of comments, we're also seeing comments that I didn't have cover, but Google released MedGemma this week as well, and some folks are asking whether or not this beats MedGemma. I don't think that they are fighting in the same category. MedGemma 1.5, Google says it's small enough to run offline, improves performance on 3D imaging and MedASR, and they have a speech-to-text model for medical dictation for Hugging Face and Vertex AI.
Completely different type of model. That's a 4B. This is a 235B. Yeah. But now that people mention it, it is an excellent pair to put MedGemma for the speech recognition, and then you can use this model for the actual test. I highly doubt, there's like no chance MedGemma is anywhere close to this one.
Yes.
in the benchmarks. Yeah.
There's also the 27B MedGemma variant, which is more like a multimodal medical knowledge and reasoning model, not just for the image interpretation that the 4B is for. But yeah, there are different leagues. 27B compared to, how big is the other one? It's huge.
It's 22B active, 235B MOE. But again, they optimized. Oh, sorry. So there's also 27B and 4B MedGemma. They optimize it for stuff like, if you take like an X-ray or CT scan, it's just like a whole bunch of crisscrossing pictures of you. And this has to be able to ingest all those pictures at once and then make a judgment for all of them at once. So these are not, these do not replace each other. You should use these together.
Yeah.
Like this is a very good pair. Yeah.
Should we speak a little bit about Anthropic healthcare efforts while we're on this like topic of medicine? I think that it's fairly clear. I also saw, I don't want to like stay on this too much, which we're in the open source after all, but I also saw some panel of US medical professionals that say, hey, medical AI is coming, whether you want it or not. It's coming very, very soon. We also have a friend of the show, Maziar Panahi, working on medical stuff and gives us a shout out. We've been all working on healthcare AI. Nobody cares until OpenAI and Anthropic made the announcement. But I think this highlights a very important point we've been talking about for a while. A lot of efforts are happening, and then these big labs kind of like step in and say, hey, we have a connection, and we have HIPAA compliance, we have this and this and this and this and this. And then the whole field blooms. The open source stuff blooms, the makers of different data sets, which is very important, bloom as well. So shout out to folks who are working tirelessly on this, not in big labs. But big labs did have a kind of an announcement. So OpenAI acquired Torch. Let me find this super quick. I didn't have this in my notes, just remembered. Torch is a healthcare startup that unifies lab results, medications, and visit recordings. And OpenAI this week announced that they have basically got the whole company in. So this is one example of Torch Health. The Torch team is joining OpenAI to help build GPT health into what happens there. So that's one. Two, we have Anthropic Healthcare. Anthropic Healthcare. Let me go find this super quick. Blah, blah, blah. Anthropic Claude for healthcare and life sciences. Let me see a good kind of like description of what they added. They added a bunch of connections to the connectors to different medical providers. Complementary set of tools and resources allow healthcare providers, payers, and consumers use cloud for medical purposes through HIPAA-ready products. HIPAA, HIPAA, of course, is the standard, at least in the US, at least I don't know if everywhere else, about communication with medical information, sensitive information. It's very like strict standard. And new capabilities for life sciences, Claude to more scientific platforms, how we provide greater support in clinical trial management and regulatory operations. And they have examples of their own models here. So Sonnet 2.5 all the way to Opus 4.5, and Opus 4.5 on this medical benchmark performance, which is MedCalc Bench and MedAgent Bench, is very much improved, 92% on MedAgent Bench. So we know the Opus is great. We know the Claude is generally great. But now with the connectors and the HIPAA compliance, looks like Claude is stepping into healthcare also. So it looks like not only on the open source, we also have the big companies kind of like stepping in a big way, which is great to see.
There was a Dr. Ralph last week. So they're trying to make Dr. Ralph official now.
Nice.
Someone already posted that. I know doctors are using it. It's excellent for, you just give Claude Code a job and it's going to do a whole bunch of research for you and stuff. But obviously that was not applicable in a hospital setting. So now it is, which is great.
Which is great. It's absolutely great. We've been waiting for AI to take care of our health and improve it. We're still waiting, so we'll see how that develops. Let's continue in open source super quick. We have one more thing to cover, and that is Meituan, I guess. How do you pronounce this? Long Cat Flash Thinking 2601. Wolfram, any comments on that one? Have you been able to take a look? And while we add Ryan Carson in here with the pink sweater, coming live, looks like from the AMP office in San Francisco. Is that right? I don't think Ryan can hear us, but I introduced him. All right, Wolfram, Meituan, Longcat, Flash Thinking. Let me put this on the screen super quick, and then
hey, what's up,
Ryan? We said hi to you and presented you. You couldn't hear us, but you are here now.
Nice Ralph shirt, Ryan.
Nice Ralph shirt.
I'm wearing one too.
Look at that! Dun, dun, dun.
Wait, hold on. I want to see this.
Here we go.
Oh, it is Ralph. It's just a different Ralph.
Yeah.
That's dope. Ryan Carson,
we're live.
everyone.
What's happening here?
We are live. I've been for the past 40 minutes. Where were you? Just kidding.
Where's the boss?
We're doing open source, and Wolfram is going to take us through Longcat Flash Thinking. Starting now. Let's see.
Yes, so Longcat Flash Thinking 2601 is a MOE with 560 billion total parameters and 27 billion active parameters. So it's an MOE, extremely efficient, released under the MIT license. Yay! Always great to have really open source, open weights models.
Yeah.
And it achieves 100% on the AMI 25 and 86.8% on the IMO answer benchmark, so outperforms the Claude Opus 4.5 Thinking even, and GPT 5.2 Thinking XI at specific tasks. So you have to try it, of course, with your own use cases to see how it really does. But it's trained for tool use, of course. I think all the models are now agentic models. That is very important, and it supports various custom adaptations, SGLang and VLM support. There's a live demo at longcat.chat where you can toggle the deep thinking, and it's great to have another contender here. I will definitely do some benchmarks with it and report more, but for now, this is what we have.
I want to highlight this one thing. Thanks, Wolfram. I want to highlight like AI Me 100%. I think it's just incredible. So first of all, we don't know whether or not they fine-tuned on AI Me 2025. It's been a while. We're waiting for AI Me 2026 to drop somewhere in March, and then we'll see. Because what happened with AI Me 2024, obviously international math competition, Olympiad, whatever, those are very difficult math questions. On 2024, major labs showed a lot of I'm hoping that I'm not echoing. Ryan, give me a sec.
It's okay.
No, Ryan, thank you. Hey, folks, we're back. Are we back?
Oh, that's better.
Well, who's this?
Hey, yes, it's sexy Alex. Here we go.
Can I ask a favor? I'll cut this from the podcast. Ryan could not be the only one who tells me my wrong microphone. I was like podcasting from the MacBook all this time, folks.
I
come on.
speak the truth. I speak the truth.
All right.
In love.
Thank you, Ryan. Thank you. I should start the whole show from start now. All right, we're back. So I want to highlight that the AME performance on this Longcat Flash Thinking with heavy thinking mode is 100%. Now, AME, again, math competition, very hard, difficult questions. And the highlight there is previously on AME 2024 and 2025 later, when 2025 came out, we saw a significant drop in performance for a while because apparently it wasn't in the training data set for a while. So it's going to be very interesting when 2026 comes out to see all these 100%ers take on completely new set of challenges and questions and see whether or not they were better. This is what I wanted to say before I was told news about my microphone. Okay. I think this is it in open source. We do have a breaking news, Wolfram. Why don't you cover breaking news while we're at it? I think it's more in the AI arts area, but let's definitely cover this super quick so we can continue. Let's do breaking news. AI breaking news coming at you only on ThurdAI. Alrighty, Wolfram.
So my German colleagues, basically from Black Forest Labs, they released a new Flux model, Flux.2 Klein, which means small in German. So it's a very small, fast, and beautiful model. The main feature is that it is very fast, so it can be used for fast editing, changing styles, developing ideas. Alex, you showed that that website where you can combine concepts where you use a model. For instance, that would be a use case where it would be fitting because it's so fast it can generate in real time almost.
We will
it's
see.
available as a local model, so you can download it and use it. Apache 2 license, excellent, yay. And yeah, a 9B open weights model.
So they have 4B and 9B. So 4B is Apache 2 and 9B is the open weight. So like not Apache 2, but you can still use it for stuff. Yeah, okay. Very interesting. Flax, obviously from Breakforest Labs, folks who worked on stability and helped make that thing happen, have been kind of behind after Nano Banana Pro a little bit, but it's great to see them open source because this quality is open source. We have open source editing models from Z-Image and Quen image as well. So it's going to be interesting to put them together. Wolfram, remind me later on the show when we talk about Anthropic Cowork to actually add Klein to that demo that I have and see if like it just happens. I really want to test whether or not it just happens. So breaking news there. While we're there, we can also cover the other give me a sec. AI art and diffusion news segment that we have, and this one is from Z.AI also released an image model, and this one's not open. It is open source, yeah, so it's kind of open source as well. Z.AI released GLM image, so open source hybrid autoregressive diffusion image generator. A lot of words. Basically, it's an image model that's they claim state-of-the-art text rendering accuracy. And I have here a picture of somebody comparing the two, and you can see that, hopefully you can see, that it's not the best. So on the left here, you have supposedly Jackie Chan, supposedly Messi, and supposedly, who's that, Keira Knightley? I don't even know what celebrity this is supposed to be. So this model was not trained on celebrity faces, not at all. None of these people look like anything. It's really, really funny. On the right, you can see Quen image with Messi looking like actual Messi. But on the left, just like totally random people, but they did render Jackie Chan as Asian, so that's something.
That's a start.
That's start.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a great start. I will say though, it's really funny, Ryan. The amount of expectations that we now have from these models compared to the fact that like a few years ago this couldn't render a minion that's like cartoon character is absolutely insane. But yeah, they claim to have a state-of-the-art text rendering, which is great, and we know it's very important, text rendering. Otherwise, not that great. Long text bench they have on Chinese. This is like a benchmark that detects. I cannot say this sentence. I'll try again.
Detects.
It detects text. Yeah, is that okay? So they have a benchmark that detects text performance in image generations, and that one they apparently beat. This is kind of the big news here. Let me see, zoom in for you guys as well. 1K 2K output from 1K tokens. I think that this is it on the AI image generation stuff. So I think that the more important news is the breaking news from Flux, which is great. And yeah, the demo that I have, we will definitely try and add this and test it out visually and see. Cool. I think it's time for us to go into Big Labs. I think there's a lot of stuff happening in Big Labs. Ryan, you joined just in time because of stuff. Do we want to start with the partnerships and drama corner? I really like. I mentioned this in the TLDR.
Always fun.
Yes. So it's very, if it bleeds, it leads type news reporting. We are known not to do this on ThurdAI for a while now. We're known for the deep technical dives into open source, and we bring the beard, the neck beards, the geeks to dive into open source. But this week is just so much. If we don't do this, then others will do, and everybody else is going to watch those. There's a lot of stuff happening in the world of AI that's not applicable right now, but it's very, very exciting. And so I covered a little bit in the TLDR, but let's do some reporting. So yeah, get the popcorn. All right, so we will start with, I think, the drama that's happening between Thinking Machines and OpenAI. Thinking Machines is a startup to train models and do a bunch of stuff, co-founded by Mira Murati, Jan Schulman, and a bunch of other folks. Previously, OpenAI and Anthropic, I think, as well. And their CTO was fired super quickly this week, and like an hour later, it turns out he wasn't fired. He basically was about to leave, and then he's like, one of those situations where, like, I fire you. He's like, no, you can't fire me. I already quit. Type situations. It looks like the co-founder of Thinking Machines and the CTO and two other co-founders left back to OpenAI. One of them was supposedly fired for unethical conduct, and then an hour later, after this announcement, we saw that he's back in OpenAI. So we don't know what this unethical conduct is. I want to bring back the names, and Sumit Chintala, previously from PyTorch, is now the CTO of Thinking Machines. So shout out to Sumit, he's a great dude. Stepped up there in a big way. We also have some drama with Anthropic and OpenCode, and I also want to mention this. Maybe you guys know about this drama better than me. If you want to chime in here, please do.
I mean, this was in kind of my world, so it's kind of interesting to see. OpenCode is great, by the way. I think I want to be clear that the more great agent harnesses we have, the better. But it appears that they were using the $200 a month max subscription as kind of a wrapper, and that was against the T's and C's, and obviously Anthropic didn't like it. I think it's been resolved now, and I think this is one of those reasons where we kind of charge people for tokens because we don't want to get into that world at AMP. Yeah. So interesting to see it play out.
I want to just clarify to the world of non-developers what we're talking about. Anthropic offers their models via APIs, and you can use those models via just paying them for tokens, just clear one-to-one token payment via an API key. So you can use Claude Code, for example, for that. But they also offer a heavily subsidized max plan, either $100 a month or $200 a month for 5x the tokens. If you're one of the crazy users that runs Ralph on everything, and just nights and days of token streaming, it's very much worth your time to invest in a max plan. OpenCode was using the max plan subscription somehow via connecting directly through Anthropic's kind of premium subscription, and then Anthropic blocked that. It doesn't mean that Anthropic blocked OpenCode from using Opus. They could still use Opus via the tokens. However, for OpenCode, obviously, as a product offering, it's much more expensive because they pay for tokens. So they blocked that. But also, I did see, Wolfram, you mentioned this somewhere, that Anthropic also blocked OpenCode in system messages. Is that true?
When the system prompt starts with "you are OpenCode," it was blocked. There was a report about it on X. What I tried is to go into anti-gravity, where you can also use a Claude model, changed my system prompt and said "you are OpenCode." It still worked. So of course there is still prompts around this, probably something that Google does. Yeah. So I can't confirm it myself. I've seen the news, I've shared the news, and if it is true, that is pretty sucky if they just look for the string OpenCode in your system prompt and then block you. That would suck. But I couldn't confirm it myself, so I didn't want to.
So we should mention that OpenCode is a direct competitor to Claude Code, a $1 billion product line business from Anthropic, a side project that somebody built in there, and suddenly it's a $1 billion product. So it's a direct competitor to that, and it makes sense from Anthropic to do so. What is very interesting, though, is how much other labs jumped on the opportunity to highlight themselves. So now GitHub and OpenAI are all OpenCode compatible and were immediately, and you can use the Codex subscription. So whatever Anthropic said, hey, we're not going to do, OpenAI and GitHub both stepped in. So now OpenCode can use your subscription for OpenAI Codex for GPT 5.2, which we're going to talk about in a second, and for the Copilot stuff. So that's very interesting.
I mean, I'll probably be
Yeah.
the guy to say that this is where ad-supported models are kind of interesting for tokens. There's a bunch of folks doing now, but at AMP we ship this idea of, hey, you get more tokens for free because we use ads. But I think paying for tokens via the API is just pretty important, and I'd be surprised if most labs don't continue to support vanilla token use via the API, because that's literally the product. So
on this topic, though, there's another piece of not really relevant but interesting news in this corner. Anthropic also blocked XAI from using their services, Claude
Yes.
Code, this week. Anthropic, I will say this very slowly because Yam is raising his eyebrows. Anthropic, the maker of Claude Opus and Claude Sonnet, has blocked XAI, their direct competitor owned by Elon Musk, building their own model series in Grok, from using Claude Code internally. Now, they not only block Claude Code, they reached out to Cursor, an intermediary that sells access to Anthropic's APIs, and told them that they also cannot serve Opus to XAI, which I found very interesting. The
Pretty
Anthropic
gangster, isn't it?
This
Man.
is like somebody in Anthropic is like, is taking names and writing and cashing checks.
That keeps happening. We had seen stuff like that with Windsurf, wasn't it? Windsurf, one of the IDEs was not allowed to use one of the newer models. So these things keep happening, and I don't like them at all.
Yeah,
gangster stuff.
Again, for our listeners, it means nothing. It's just really, really interesting to see the moves that are being played there as Anthropic realizes that Claude Code and maybe Cowork that we're going to talk about next is a big line of products. Nissan, go ahead.
There's going to be a lot of spouses and family members of XAI engineers now with the Claude Max subscriptions. I would believe. But I want to say that, look, I understand from their point of view that they are subsidizing Claude Code and they don't want it to be that easy to be used. That still doesn't stop you from using it. You can still use any harness to control something, to control another machine. And you can use any harness to all of them to just run a Claude-P command, and then you have your Claude Max subscription. The only thing was that it's not integrated fully in, but if you just tell your sub agent, hey, just run Claude-P or just open a TMUX session and use Claude Max, you can still use it. Yep. So it's a bit of a dance here. I understand them just blocking API access from their competitors. I mean, it's pretty gangster move, but that I understand. But the other one, that's just annoying because it doesn't. You can very easily use. You can very easily still use it. Just don't put open code in the prompt.
I want to highlight this section. Clip this for sure. There's going to be a lot of spouses of XAI employees with Claude Max subscriptions. Nistan, that's on point. All right. We're moving on. We're still in this kind of corner of hot weeks, hot takes and this dramas, whatever. Apple has announced that Gemini is going to power, in a joint announcement with Google, that Gemini is going to power Siri. Right? After careful evaluation, I'm reading the quote here, Apple determined that Google AI technology provides the most capable foundation for Apple foundational models and is excited about the innovative new experiences it will unlock for Apple users. Apple Intelligence will continue to run on Apple devices and private cloud compute while maintaining Apple's industry-leading privacy standards, blah, 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 blah. That's not from the quote. That's me adding my thoughts on this because Siri is still dumb. It's 2026. We've seen the ads that they say, hey Siri, do the thing, spin out. I got so, you know why I'm so pissed off? I got so excited about this when we told you about Apple Intelligence because I'm in their ecosystem, and I gave them one hell of a benefit of the doubt that they can achieve this, and I still use Apple Intelligence, but it's kind of forced on me right now. I'm not like enjoying using this. Siri is still so stupid. And it's time that Apple steps up. It's a $3 trillion company. They have all the money in the world to train their models. They're playing footsie with OpenAI. Now they're playing footsie with Gemini. Meanwhile, all their users are sitting and not getting into the world of AI. Siri is still really dumb. Bella Ramsey is the person in the ads that they pulled from YouTube because they didn't deliver.
I think it's crazy that Apple doesn't have a large language model. Like it's just unbelievable they aren't one of the model labs. Like I think all of us are just we're just throwing our hands up and saying, how did this happen? Like, we'll do it now. Like, fund a lab team. They have the cash, train your own model. Like, this is crazy. I mean, but Gemini
buy something, buy Mistral, buy folks. You have the money. Just go. There's like talent out there. You can offer $2 billion to Mistral. You're gonna buy them. I'm not sure this is a good move for Mistral, but like it's ridiculous how far Apple is missing out on this thing. The AI ML team at Apple, somebody named them Aimless, which is just incredible. Because what are you doing, folks?
So I had a real world moment where I was outside of my Twitter bubble where we all talk about AI all day, and I was in a cab on the way to the airport, and the gentleman said, well, teach me about AI, because I said I'm an AI, and I said, well, do you use ChatGPT? And he's like, yeah, I do. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like, how do you do that? And he said, look, and he talked to Siri, and then it says, can I use ChatGPT? And so he thought he was using ChatGPT. It was fascinating. And then at the end of the call, at the end of the ride, I said, let me help you install actual ChatGPT. So we went, I like onboarded him onto it. It's hilarious. It was just interesting. Like, so now we saw some of that connection. So I guess they're going to think they're using Gemini. Like,
yeah. So it's very interesting to me that Siri is very dumb. It's smart enough to know that it's dumb. So it's like, I cannot answer this. Let me hand it off to ChatGPT. And then it does. This is the connection, the kind of the behind the scenes connection. It's still very stupid, but now that apparently will go to Google and Gemini. It still will call Apple foundational models, which is ridiculous naming because it's not. Okay, I'm done. You know what? Let me turn positive for a second. I'm hoping that this will actually deliver some good experiences. I am hoping. Gemini are great models. Like I've been using Gemini. We're going to talk about Gemini personalization next. Great models. So definitely I'm hoping that this is going to be helpful. All right. On the topic of partnerships, OpenAI announced a partnership with Cerebras. We talked about Cerebras. They have the huge like wafer scale chips that we talked about. Yeah, exactly. The size. Shout out to our friends from Cerebras. And the partnership for 750 megawatts of compute, of high-speed compute. The point of Cerebras is when you run some stuff on their chips, the throughput is insane in the 2,000 tokens per second for smaller models. It's absolutely bonkers. So this deal is apparently $10 billion deals. It's inked for 2028, so nothing usable right now. But just imagine ChatGPT streaming at the speed of Cerebras. I'd be very happy with that. Like, it's not that ChatGPT is slow; it's still pretty fast. It's just very interesting that this deal is happening where NVIDIA just bought Grok with the Q, the compute also specific ASIC chips for inference, and now OpenAI is partnering with Cerebras. So the fast streaming companies, there's one left. There's three of them. There's Grok, Cerebras, and SambaNova, right? And I think we covered all three of them. I think we had representatives, all three of them, on the podcast. And now Cerebras is partnering with OpenAI, and SambaNova is somewhere. Very interesting tidbit that I saw about this is that when Elon Musk, Sam Altman, Greg Brockman, Ilya Sutskever all co-founded OpenAI in the beginning, Elon Musk tried to get Sam Altman to buy Cerebras back then. And I think one of the reasons why the whole thing fell off is because he said, hey, we'll buy this to Tesla or whatever, and they didn't want the integration, blah, blah, blah. So it's very interesting. They've been thinking about Cerebras for a long time, and now there's a partnership integration. Right. I think we covered all the spicy partnerships and news that are not really useful but fun to talk about. I think we covered everything. Anything else from the Twitter drama world you want to cover? This is me trying to compete with TBPN and their timeline reaction segment where they talk about just like X. But yeah, I think it's pretty much it. All right, let's dive into big companies and APIs. There's a lot to talk about, and we just crossed 1,000 view count, which is great. Hi, folks. You're on ThurdAI. Let's talk about Cowork. Anthropic has let loose all of the side project creators in the company, apparently, and it's very interesting. Anthropic announced Claude Cowork, which is hard to describe. It's easy to describe, to say this is Claude Code for the masses if you know what Claude Code is. But apparently, there are people outside our bubble, like the folks that Ryan helps install ChatGPT in taxis for. And those people have no idea what Cloud Code is. So how the hell do you explain to them what Cloud Cowork is? I'm not really sure. But let me try anyway. So assume that you don't know what Cloud Code is. Cloud Cowork.
Just one thing, you also have to explain to them how much it costs. If they want to use it, they need a pro subscription, which starts
Yeah,
at
that's true. That's true. It's only for Mac subscription right now because it's a research preview. But research previews tend to go downstream to the $20 a month tier that they could afford, etc. But Claude Cowork is an agentic, local running product from Anthropic that uses the best in-class models and also doing some coding for you without you thinking about this, and can do a bunch of stuff on your computer. Currently only Mac, currently only from Mac subscribers, which is $100 to $200 tier, depends on how much you want. I think it's a good enough description for CloudWork. I did a video on CloudWork that exploded, and I think the reason why, Ryan, last week you went mega viral. This week it is because I asked Boris Cherny, the guy who created Cloud Code and works on Cloud Code, how much of Cloud Cowork, the new product, was written with Cloud Code. Boris Cherny answered 100% of it. And I also clipped, I forgot his name, Felix, I think. I also clipped a video from Dan Chipper talking to the guy that created Cloud Cowork, that he said, we did this in a week and a half in Anthropic. So this
week and a half.
Yes, this is Felix Reisberg. He joined Dan Chipper, and he said, this is us sprinting for a week and a half. And this went also kind of viral because this makes no sense to regular people. It makes sense to us in the raw world, but it makes no sense to regular people.
This is the world we live in. Like I just tweeted last night, I'm like, the speed that we ship now is just, it's hard to believe even. Like there's just no moats. I mean, you can build almost anything you can imagine in like a day. I mean, it's just bonkers. I think that Cowork is basically what Copilot was supposed to be, an actual assistant for your desktop. But I mean, nobody even knows what Anthropic is or Claude Code or Claude even in the normal world. So the distribution of this is going to be interesting. They need a mainline distribution channel. Microsoft has it with Copilot, and Copilot sucks. So
yeah, I think that Claude is getting more and more popular in the quote unquote real world, folks. I think that we can start with. I don't know what's going on with my sharing. Let me share.
I don't think anybody knows about Claude or Anthropic in the real world. I don't know. I don't know anybody that does. ChatGPT, but
ChatGPT is popular. Anthropic is kind of like everywhere in every airport. You go and they have ads. They now have ads on Instagram. All right, folks, this is Cowork. Cowork is a UI that sits in Claude Mac app. I think on web as well, but it's only useful on the Mac app because it connects to your file system. Cloud Cowork is basically, for those of you who do know what Cloud Code is, it's a wrapper on Cloud Code for non-techie people. And it starts with, this is a beautiful marketing, let's knock something off your list. It can do a bunch of stuff. They claim it's an early research preview, and it's been not vibe coded, but it's been like Cloud Code coded. It's basically vibe coded for a week and a half, so there is bugs. But here's the thing: it has progress tab on the right. It has artifacts. Artifacts are kind of like HTML pages, etc., that it can do for you. It has context which you can add, and it has connectors. Connectors like Claude for Chrome. Claude for Chrome is the ability of Claude controlling Chrome browser and run and click different things. Why is all of this important? Is because it can achieve some tasks for you. So the type of task that they suggest here when you have the suggestions is create a file, organize files, prep for a meeting, make a prototype, etc. But the thing that I wanted to highlight is code agents are generalized agents. This is the realization that Anthropic had when they released this research prototype, because many people over the winter break, they had some time, they learned about Cloud Code, and even non-developers started like building things and having Cloud Code with the Chrome extension achieve a bunch of stuff, do taxes for them, etc. So we're going to do live something. I really want to show Cloud Cowork and how it works while also achieving something. So Wolfram, you said that I had a demo with the AI image generators, and I think I can find this demo, and we can add Flux context to that, right? Let's do that. We're going to choose a folder. It's very important to choose a folder. Claude Cowork is mainly successful because of the security stuff that they have. So they are sandboxing the code that they run to that folder using some virtualization metrics or another. Am I frozen for some reason? No, I'm good. So they do sandboxing virtualization, which is very important for security because when you run code on your computer, it can do bad stuff. And we've seen many people for whom it deleted whole repositories. So we're going to try to find our Infinite Fun extension, which is the extension that Wolfram you mentioned. This is the Infinite Fun extension. We'll open this guy up. It says it has access. It requests access to the thing, and then we will ask of this guy. Let me see if I can zoom in here a little bit. Yeah, is this better? Can we see it? How can I help you today? Say, can you find out which models my extension supports right now? So first of all, I'll just let it read the files, figure out what's going on. But then also, I'm using FAL. Wolfram, do you know if that model is on FAL already? Let's take a look.
Let me check.
ThurdAI. Yeah, because I don't have API for Flux connected.
Yes,
so
it's there.
It's there on file? Amazing.
Yeah.
Could you drop me a link, please? It says, let me check your workflow folder, extension-related files. I can see browser extension. Let me search. So it basically learns on the fly of what's going on in the folder. So you don't have to do any type of like context engineering. It will learn. It gives me an example. Okay, this is the image generation models that it currently supports. FAL's the image turbo, and any file math can be by prefixing with FAL. Dope. So now it already understood. Wolfram just sent me the link. Copy link address. Okay, now please add this model from FAL so I can test it. Dunk. That's it. You're basically talking to this guy, and they were supposedly will do the work for you and do the things. The cool thing is you can see a little error here that says unable to verify is safe to fetch, blah, 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 network restrictions. And it understood which model it needs to run and done. Folks, I haven't seen one line of code. I think this is the highlight here. Claude Code still shows you diffs and it's kind of like developer focus, right? I have asked this guy to iterate on some coding thing that I have, but unless I really wanted to, unless I click this guy, I haven't seen one line of code. Nor do I care, nor do most people lately who use like different Claude codes, people just like hit like next, whatever. All you need to do is that you have a task to achieve and how to achieve this. This is, I think, the paradigm shift. This is the big thing in Cowork. We definitely should test if they're working. Ryan, meanwhile, feel free to comment.
Yeah, I mean, this is the same reason why Ralph took off, right? People are realizing that the model is good enough to complete specified tasks well without micromanaging, like very well. So this is just an extension, a UI on top of that. And I think you're going to see a lot of agent harnesses move towards a UI that's much more like this and much less code based. The best devs in the world that I know now don't write any code by hand. So,
yep.
I also noticed the change. If you have used the Claude Code extension in Visual Studio Code, for instance, it used to go to the terminal all the time, and they replaced that now. And by default, it now has a text pane like the anti-gravity, for instance. So even there, they have moved more to a more end-user variant in a way. So more user friendliness. Yeah, that's coming.
I think that this is it. Flux 2. Let's see. Save settings. I think that it worked. It didn't say Flux 2. Oh, wow. Yeah, it does work. Let's see here. It's taken a while, but it does seem like the thing that Claude Cowork did for us is working. And it does seem like we're generating images with the new Flux, with the small Flux.
The 9B.
Yeah, the
9B.
I think it's client, but it's still like fairly slow. So I'm not quite sure what's going on if it did the work. So for that, we will go back and do look at the code, right? So we have if image path, blah 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 blah, files, the image turbo, client 9b. Yes, this is how it looks, and I don't know what. Yeah, so Claude Cowork did the work for us, and it absolutely took a second and a half, and. Here's the interesting thing. The example that I showed you right now is a developer's example. I had a project on my computer that did some stuff, and I asked it to edit some stuff. I knew exactly what to add, where to edit. Even though I didn't look at the files, I knew I was the product manager for this thing. Claude Cowork can do so much more for you. So one example that they show is a stupid example that immediately everybody understands. Sort my files on the desktop. Which is it's a really funny example because nobody's going to use this, nobody cares, but everybody has like a big messy desktop. You can just open desktop here. Let me choose desktop in here. Kind of slow, but we'll get there.
Can you code? No. Can you use Vim? No. So
No.
I know what I like and I don't like. I am decisive in what I prompt.
Yeah.
What do you get paid for as a programmer? People are going to be like, the confidence that I have in my taste, my ability to express has proven helpful for.
It's the era of the idea guy. It's the era of the idea guy. The idea guy who used to be paired with a coder now is the idea guy's time. So basically, here's a very simple example of Claude Cowork that can do some stuff for you without coding. Obviously, it will run commands, but you don't care. He found 3 versions of Road Central on my desktop, all package installers and the app, both zip and a package. You already installed these. You can safely delete the installers. Old files for MP3 files, blah, blah, blah. Images, app bundles, all of this thing is in my desktop, and I don't usually use my desktop that much. So Claude Cowork for any task that you have on your computer. I think the most important part that we didn't cover yet, there's 2 parts. We're going to get to skills, so this can use skills as well. But the connector thing is a very important part here. I have a few connectors with like NA10 and Cloud and Chrome. So the Chrome connection is very important. This is very similar to Atlas browser and the Comet browser that we talked to you about a lot. This is now Claude, Opus, etc. can run stuff in your browser. So it can help you connect things to like go into my browser and do some research in Twitter, for example, and then do this and do this. I think that's a huge connector. Claude can also do this via this connector, so it's not like a huge new thing. But I think the combination of writing code locally, plus being able to go to the browser, I think this is a big combination there. And other connectors are Google Drive and Gmail and Google Calendar and a bunch of other stuff. And obviously, Anthropic came out with the MCP spec, so every MCP there is supported. Anything else on the?
Would like to add one thing. The target audience is people who are less technical than us, not coders, not people familiar with these things. And they have to watch out because we are using Git for everything. So when AI does something for us, we can revert and check in, check out stuff. If you are using it on your files, on your system, be careful what you are doing because, I guess a lot of people are not even having the backups. And if they are using this tool without some safety nets, watch out what you do.
Yeah.
Be careful.
100%. Running code on your system, even in Sandbox, is not for everyone just to open up. So you need to know what you're doing. Any comments, folks, or we're going to move on from Claude Cowork? I got super excited about this. I have a video up on YouTube. Many people got excited about this. It is a research preview, so it's still robust. Again, written in a week and a half sprint. 100% of the code was written with Claude Code. It's just fucking insane.
Maybe it's just the front end and it calls Claude Code in the back end. I think it's basically that.
Yeah. I mean, I looked at the scope of this like feature. It's quite a lot of extensive stuff that you need to do. You need to like, it creates a plan, for example, and no Claude Code also creates a plan, but you have to like take that plan, put it in the UI, update it, like cross-check. There's a lot of like visual interfacey stuff that needs to happen. Those are small. Ryan, if we're in a startup a decade ago, 6 months ago, even now for startups that are not AI native, this is like 3 to 6 months project that they shipped in a week and a half. This is so much. Just so much.
Yeah, I mean, there's just the amount of work we can do now is just staggering. It's an exciting time to be alive.
I want to address this comment from Mark Erdman. He says, quick poll. Is there anyone who doesn't use --dangerously--skip--permissions? --dangerously skip permissions is a flag for Claude Code, not the product that we just showed, Cowork. The Claude Code, the command line app that allows it to stop asking you for every time it wants to run something and just run and do commands for you. And those commands sometimes can be rm-rf and really delete some stuff, or rebase on git, delete some stuff. So many people run with dangerously skip permissions. I tend to not do that unless I know exactly what I'm doing.
I have it on, and honestly, AMP has never done anything super bad to me. Now, I'm sure that will happen at some point, but like I have 3 local checkouts of my repo, and I work across them instead of using Git trees, and I've honestly never had anything too bad happen. What scares me is migrations on prod. Like,
yes,
I've had a couple times where it was like, I'll run that migration on prod. I'm like, no, you won't. So there's a couple of things like that still freak me out.
All righty. What do we have to talk about? LDJ, go ahead. And welcome, by the way.
Yeah, I was gonna say real quick, didn't you have Claude wipe your PC or something like that, right?
Actually, nothing too bad ever happened to me. Look, it will happen at some point. I'm constantly running with dangerously do dangerously do whatever you want. All of them, like I have an alias on bash RC for all of them to just do whatever they want. But also I have my computer backed up like every couple of days, so I'm not that worried. If I wouldn't have this backup, I'm not sure that it would be a good idea. So I think it's somewhere in the middle. If you have snapshots or Git or something, you can let loose, because at the end of the day, it saves time. You don't need to approve everything. You can run stuff in parallel. There are real benefits to do that. However, I've seen horrifying things like Claude going, yeah, I'll just I'll just make sure there are no tests that fail, and then delete all of the tests and so on. So yeah.
I feel like everyone that talks about this doesn't know how to use Git or something. I mean, this is literally what version control is for. So I don't understand it. Like, even if it wiped out your home directory, I mean, like, this is not rocket science, people. This is what version control is. Other than messing with your prod DB.
Yes. Databases and migrations definitely on production is hard. All right, folks, we're moving on. Just quickly before we move on, as a reminder, the show does not have any sponsors. The only sponsor we have is Weights and Biases, my employer, Wolfram's employer since recent as well. And we have a corner here that talks about Weights and Biases called This Week's Buzz. I have some news for you. Let's go to This Week's Buzz before we continue with the rest of the show. Hey, welcome to This Week's Buzz. Super quick. This is Alex Volkov from Weights and Biases and CoreWeave. And the only news that I have for you for today about us is that our hackathon called Weave Hacks that we run in the Weights and Biases office in San Francisco is back. It's back in a few weeks. It's going to be January 31st, February 1st, happening in San Francisco. So if you want to sign up for that, you need to go to luma.com/weavehacks3, and then if you're signing up, mention that you heard about the hackathon at ThurdAI, and we'll definitely get you in. I'm going to be there. I'm going to be emceeing the hackathon. We have a bunch of sponsors to announce. Great panel of judges as well. You'll definitely be viewed by some top of the people in AI in San Francisco. I'm really hard working behind the scenes to get you like the most amazing panel, the most amazing prizes as well. So if you are into hacking, the theme of this hackathon is self-replicating agents, self-improving agents. I'm sorry. The theme for this hackathon is self-improving agents, and we're so stoked to see you there and to see what you're going to come up with. There's so much to work with. There's the Ralph loops, there's skills, there's amps, there's cursors, there's so much to just do in a hackathon. Hackathons in 2026 are just some of the more fun time that you can have. If you want to take some break from your work, come down to San Francisco. If you wanted an excuse for your boss to fly down to San Francisco for something, this is a great excuse as well. So I'm looking forward to seeing you guys there. This has been this week's Buzz. Let's continue with the show. Alrighty. Oh, we're back. We're back from the little break, ad break. But yeah, I'm looking forward. All of you guys are invited as well. If you want to be a judge, let me know. Right. The next thing on our list for this week in big companies and APIs, a huge thing is GPT 5.2 Codex was finally released by OpenAI. They have announced and talked about this, and we talked about GPT 5.2 Codex on the show back in December. And then it was really surprising, they did not release it to anyone. So you could use 5.2 Codex within the Codex app. And I think ChatGPT? No, you can't use Codex in ChatGPT. It's only within the Codex app. But when they announced it, it's like, hey, this is the long-running thing. I remember talking about this because I interviewed a person from OpenAI who shall remain nameless because he is not supposed to tell me what he told me. But basically, this model was the longest-running model he'd ever saw. And he ran this model on one prompt for around a week on and off for one prompt with an exit criteria. So this is like on something on steroids. Not tons of people that we know use Codex. So not tons of people got exposed to this. None of the agent labs or harnesses folks were able to implement this. Ryan, I'm sure that you guys couldn't do it until now because it wasn't available in API.
Correct.
And now it is. And so what do we think? What do we think, folks?
Who's a Codex user? I actually spun up Codex in ChatGPT because I do have it and tried to complete a task, but it failed to start the container. So I think I have some setup issue. So I am sadly inexperienced with Codex 5.2.
When he says it runs for... Sorry, you go, Nistan. I'll go after.
I try to use it through Replit, but it's no longer in Replit. I just want to say, I do know quite a few people that are very good at vibe coding and agents and stuff, and they do use it to check over the work. So it doesn't do as much work. It doesn't fire up as many tool calls, but it's pretty reliable when you have like a particular deep bug to solve, and that Opus is not solving it. People still really like it and find it very, very competent as the model. It is still very smart. It's just not as agentic.
I've heard it's very methodical in a good way. I actually want to try it for that, but I haven't done it yet.
It just takes too long. That's the only thing I'm hearing. So when they try to use it as the main, they're like, yeah, it just takes too long. So
it's now supported in Cursor and GitHub Copilot and VS Code and FactoryDroid and then Versal Gateway as well. And I gotta hand it to these companies implementing a model like this. Like it seems like a string replace somewhere in the backend, but it's not really because every harness has its own things. And we're having a lot of folks in comments saying that it's great for code reviews, for example. Definitely, this is the state-of-the-art model on Soybench Verified, which is saying a lot because like we saw this release and we haven't been able to try this. Even now, we're all here sitting, we all have experience with different tools. For one of us, the container didn't start, the other one wasn't able to use it. Like the accessibility of a model makes a lot of choice of how developers will use or accept this. LDJ, go ahead. Muted.
Oh, thank you. So, similar to what Nistan was saying, for a lot of like medium-ish, I would say medium to somewhat hard tasks that Opus can do, I would say 5.2 Codex can often do them as well, but it does it it tends to take longer, and that seems to be like a big downside of it right now. And compared to 4.5 Opus, which seems to much more efficiently use its time and being able to get similar accuracy with at least like medium-ish kind of difficulty tasks, but faster. But when it comes to things that are really hard, especially if it's something like what Niston was mentioning, like bugs, it does seem to be especially good at kind of like certain niches within code, like such as like finding certain bugs, or maybe doing certain kind of people have been kind of switching between like Claude and 5.2 Codex for certain planning things, I know.
Yep.
But I don't know if you were going to bring it up too, Alex, but there's the Cursor team. They ended up writing a
Yep.
browser from scratch. So I think that's something worth going over.
Yeah, this is the next segment on the show. I will just say before this, the two things that I want to highlight in this model. We talked about them when the model came out, but it's state of the art on Sweetbench and Terminal Bench Pro. It supports environment capabilities, etc. It's supposedly like very good at design as well. Remains to be seen, but it has native context compaction support. Compaction is a feature in coding harnesses and coding tools that says when it sees that the end of the context window is coming, and this end is coming very fast lately because everybody's streaming a lot of code and super quick. Basically, it's a way to tell the model, hey, look back at your history, compact it. By compacted, it means delete all of the irrelevant things, the different code diffs, file diffs, etc., irrelevant things. Keep only kind of summarize the conversation history, and then start a new chat, but like inject that thing in the beginning so that we'll basically be able to continue talking. We all know, some of us know definitely, some of us already have passed this because I think AMP has like native compaction stuff, right? And but like we all know that like the more you talk with the model, the longer you talk with the model in one chat, the stupider often it gets. And the reason is because like it starts to lose the beginning of the conversation, and you're talking to it like a person, and you're expecting the person to remember. I think I have the context of every conversation I had with Ryan, at least generally, right? Like we know where we are, we know kids, etc. Blah, blah blah. So like we have some context. When you talk to a model for a long time, it loses some of the context, and then it like becomes stupider. So context compaction is the way to deal with this. You basically ask the model itself to look at the conversation history, summarize this, and put it in a new chat, and kind of like start from there. Native context compaction is a support built into Gemini GPT 5.2 Codex. Too many AIs, and this means that improved token efficiency for long sessions is significantly improved. And to highlight why this and how this was affected, LDJ brought up the very interesting point. Codex, the AI coding IDE, have used GPT 5.2 Cursor. That's where I get stuck. Okay, I'll start again. Cursor, the AI native IDE that's been blowing up in like a $20 billion valuation, so like crazy. Cursor has been using GPT 5.2 Codex, and they have ran this for almost a week straight, and they have built a browser seemingly from scratch, not based on Chromium, which is most browsers are based on, seemingly from scratch, which is an insane achievement. I think it's like around 1 million to 3 million lines of code. This is, when we talk about like, hey, the world is like vibe coding, this is on the extreme end of this. This is like very important to tell you like how extreme this is. They it's just like this guy Wilson from Anysphere from Codex built this. It's just like an insane amount of code was written for this, and they built like entire router from scratch with text shaping, layout engine, CSS cascade, and HTML parser. Building browsers is hard. It's very hard. I would even say it's very, 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 very hard, because there's a reason why most browsers today are based on Chromium, and there's the layout engine, WebKit, etc. And apparently they run this for in Rust. Complete web browser includes custom HTML parsing, cascade layout, text shaping, painting, a custom JavaScript VM. This marks a monumental stress test for agentic coding, with nearly 330,000 commits pushed during the experiment. They ran hundreds of concurrent agents using a planner worker architecture, with GPT-5.2 outperforming other models like 4.5 for long-running tasks, thanks to the superior instruction following and sustained focus. I'm pretty much speechless.
Yeah. We got to do a Codex Ralph versus an Opus Ralph. I think it'll be fun. But.
So here's a question. I don't know if Codex needs Ralph. The whole point of Ralph is automation and hands-off and investing as much in pre-planning and then have it run and not have the context kind of run away, right?
I have a hot take on this. Like,
yeah,
I do not think auto compaction works. I think if you use these tools, right, you'll find that you can't compact out what you actually need out of a thread. So we don't do any black magic with compaction at AMP because I don't think it works. Like, you run out of context, you start a new thread. Like, this is the reality of large language models. They do not have medium to long-term memory, period. It's not built into the architecture, and that's not solved. I think you have to be honest and realistic about the fact that you really can't compact threads. This is why the Ralph model works so well, is every thread has fresh context.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what people need to admit right now, where we are with architecture, is that really what you have to do is you have to have tasks that are atomic and small, that have clear acceptance criteria. And you could have 1 million of those, right? And then you could run 1 million threads on that, and that would work. But this auto compaction stuff, it's still, I don't think it works. And that's from trying it. So, yep. Niston, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree. There is a little bit of an abstract form of in-context learning going on as you inference and as you fill the context window. And part of the reason, I mean, we don't know exactly, but why it gets dumber is that if you're just repeating a lot of the same stuff, a lot of the same information back and forth, it's just kind of like having repeating training data. But again, this happens on an abstract level, and that's why it tends to get dumber by the end. But you do notice that if you are very careful with how you build up your context, like if you build it up as a sort of curriculum learning where you teach it, hey, this is my system, and this is how we run it, and this is how we build this, and this is how we build that. And then in the end, I want you to put this together. That can work very well if you put it together like that. But there's also there's the entire rotary embeddings, and like just how it uses different tokens to call on different other tokens, and all the tricks that are used to extend context because the native context is a lot smaller. But yeah, so all of these factors just play into the model being way smarter in the first 30,000-60,000 tokens, and because a lot of the training data, yeah.
I mean, but this in-context learning, like what we're finding is hilariously dumb, which is that you could use a file called progress.txt to basically give in-context learning between threads. And I remember Swick's post about this. He's like, haha, it turns out memory is just the file system. That's kind of where we're at right now until we get a better architecture with actual in-context learning.
So, compacting aside, it's clear that we have at least a attempt at a competitor for Opus, which we all obviously love. And I think it's very interesting that so far, it was very hard outside of Codex, which we, again, have a bunch of folks in comments right now blowing up and saying Codex is the shit. Folks, you should try it, and we'll definitely give it a try. But outside of Codex, there was not a lot of use because nobody was able to use GPT 5.2 Codex outside of the Codex product itself. It's very interesting that stuff like Ralph Wiggum, the loop itself, and the trust in file system is the whole point is to have fresh context for everything, but still keep it on task. Running for a week straight, running 3 million lines of Rust and 30,000 commits with hundreds of concurrent agents and billions of token processed is very impressive, regardless of what we think. It's just mind-blowingly impressive that it's possible, and we live in a world where this shit can fucking write a browser. It's still mind-blowing to me. All right, if you have been testing leave us in the comments if you're listening on the podcast. I would love to know what's your opinion about GPT 5.2 versus Opus. But it does definitely look like a competitor. It does look like Grok 420 is going to come out and not be a competitor. I think Elon kind of admitted this, so it's very, very interesting. So we covered the new OpenAI. The last thing I want to cover before we go into skills deep dive, folks, is that Gemini is stepping in to the age of personalized AI. Welcome. Thank you. Not a lot of companies, maybe outside of Meta, have as much information about you as Google if you're in the Google ecosystem. So if you're have emails and then you share with your significant other and you have kindergarten emails sending in, email is basically the control center of our lives lately. Email and text messages, especially on Android. I think text messages even also into the ecosystem, but email definitely. And the search browser is another, search history is another place where an AI can know a heck of a lot about you, because you tend to search for everything and everything under the sun. This information is very valuable for obviously other companies. But now it looks like Gemini will have access to all of this if you allow it to be able to give you a significantly more personalized experience. I think that's incredible. I think that is incredible. So shout out to Gemini for this. You can enable AI to reason across Gmail and YouTube. I think it's beta in the US only, in privacy first, but you can enable AI to reason across Gmail and YouTube and photos and search. If you're using Google Photos, that's another huge unlock, because the one example that the very friendly with us, by the way, head of AI in Google, Josh Woodward, showed that he's like, hey, I need tires. Which tires should I get? Gemini Personalized was connected to his Google Photos and found out that he has a Honda Odyssey. It was really funny to me. And I posted about this Honda Odyssey. It means he has like 17 kids, because that thing is huge. And so anyway, Gemini found out that he has a car, specific car, based on the emails that he has for registration and the pictures, and basically said, you have an Odyssey, so you have these tires. ChatGPT cannot do this. They can with the connector, but they're not like as effective at it. And obviously Google moat is the access. So I think that this is like crazy. This is a huge data moat that Google has on top of competitors like OpenAI and Anthropic. And for me, the test that I had with Gemini Personal Intelligence, I had access for a while just for clarity. I sometimes get early access to Gemini stuff. I've asked it what kind of car do I drive, and to make a little bit of a joke on Josh Woodward, I went and searched for Honda Odyssey and took a picture and reposted his tweet. And so my personalized agent in Gemini went into my emails, and I don't have photos, so he went into my emails and is like, I'm pretty sure you drive a Tesla Model Y, but you recently searched for Honda Odyssey, so maybe you're thinking about switching. I was like, it was really fun. It's uncanny, folks, to see an AI agent says, hey, you recently searched for this thing, maybe you're interested in more. I'm like, ooh.
So I think we're in a weird spot where a lot of us have different Gmail addresses, work addresses. Like I have probably 6, Google Workspace addresses. So I so wish that somehow I could connect in all of them. I don't. Where do you all think this is going to go? Because I'm definitely in the Google ecosystem way more than any sort of ChatGPT ecosystem, right?
That's also the reach Google has, because Anthropic's offering now the Cowork. It is great, but you have to get the plan. You have to know about it and so on. And Google, they just make it available. You probably get a pop-up if you want to enable it the next time you go into one of the apps, and people use it, and immediately you have millions of users. And that is a mode Google has, the reach. They have the data and they have all the users. So that is pretty unique. Even OpenAI can't compete, although they have the first mover advantage. So they have a lot of people, but Claude, we know it, but most people I talk to in real life, they don't even know about it. They always look at me, huh? What?
I think that given the 17 years or so I'm in Gmail, I'm so entrenched in that ecosystem. I'm also in the Apple one, but nothing's coming out of Apple. None of the supposed, hey, let me read your text messages and then go to your photos on your iPhone securely. None of that is coming so far. I'm really frustrated, as you can see. But as long as none of that is coming, Gmail is kind of the secondary ecosystem I'm in. I'm running there searches on Google as far as I'm, still searching Google. And the moat is huge. The moat is absolutely huge. And I will tell you, the feeling that I got from that point where it said, hey, I saw you search for Honda Odyssey recently, are you thinking about switching? I'm like, Google used to sell those signals of what you search to all of the ad companies, and this is why Google Ads is still the biggest business in the world. And so I think it's very, very important that like now AIs will have access to those signals as well, what you want to do. You sometimes search without even thinking about this. I don't think that most of us register that like we search for stuff that we care about without even thinking about this. And if it's stored somewhere, it's a signal. And that signal is good for ads, personalized stuff, and personalized experiences and just targeting. So it's probably great for AI models as well to be able to be fully helpful for you. Ryan, LDJ, go ahead.
Yeah, on the question of where it's all going, I think you will have essentially MCPs for everything. I don't know, maybe long term it won't exactly be called MCPs and it'll kind of morph into like us adopting this other thing that's maybe better in certain ways. But overall, I think it'll look similar. And then just like for your use case, for example, Ryan, where you have multiple different workspaces, I imagine Google might make available MCP or similar, where the other AIs can then connect into that, have access to that information, and then you can have like these generative interfaces maybe, or custom interfaces within ChatGPT, where it's basically like a bespoke interface for you to seamlessly interact with all those different Google workspaces. I think that's what it'll look like.
I would love that.
No. Definitely interconnected. I'm not sure if it's MCP or some other proprietary stuff. Anyway, we have some real world use cases that were pulled from Twitter or folks who have personalized intelligence. Trip planning from email confirmations. So like you can say, hey, look at my email confirmation, etc. Dog food recommendations from your photos. Retrieve Wi-Fi passwords from saved images. That one is a very interesting one. And get the core ideas based on your photo library style. I think that, what I think the next step is, if you want to ask me, I think that still 2026 is going to be the year of proactive agents. And proactive is agents that are doing things for you without you asking, working on your behalf behind the scenes while you sleep, etc. That's what we want with Ralph loops. That's what we want with different things. When my agent knows about me as much as Google does, that becomes even better. If something scans my inboxes, my photos, my flights, whatever prepares me, that's the whole promise of ChatGPT Pulse, for example. That I think that this is where we're going. And when the agent has all the context it needs, I think it's just can do its job that much better. All right, folks, I think it's time for us to actually dive into a very interesting topic called agent skills. I will say before this super quick, because we're probably going to end the show afterwards. We haven't covered, but there's very interesting developments in the voice and audio. And video doesn't have a lot. There's only VO 3.1 update. There's one viral video I wanted to show you super quick. And then Pocket TTS from Qt is a 100 million parameter open source text-to-speech model with voice cloning that runs in the browser. I think that's super cool. And I just wanted to mention Qt is doing incredible things. We've talked about them multiple times. 100 million parameter, it's just nothing. It's like a very tiny model. You can probably run this on the Richie Mini. That Richie didn't even say hi to us today. We will connect and say hi to Richie in a second. But I think we will. We are now moving to the deep dive section of the show. No, Richie says hi. And I want to introduce Eleanor Berger to join us. Hey, Eleanor, welcome to the show.
Hey, everyone.
Hey, thanks for joining. It's great to see you here. I've invited you because when I researched skills, we talked about skills when they released. We talked about skills when they became an open source standard. I saw you kind of like dive into this super quick. You have a course that you're teaching folks to get up on skills. So I figured I'd invite you to have a conversation about what agent skills are. And definitely going to be very, very interesting. Please feel free to introduce yourself, by the way, to introduce yourself to other folks, because this is your first time on the podcast, and then we'll dive in.
Sure. So I'm Eleanor Berger. I'm the founder of Agentic Ventures, where I try to sort of get everyone onto the agentic platform, which a big part of it is skills. I became sort of a self-appointed evangelist for skills, which is a bit funny, but I'm super excited. I kind of saw skills when they were just released as kind of a Claude thing and realized that this is going to be big. And so I've been a little bit obsessed since then and kind of put a lot of effort to learn them, created and shared a lot of skills. Now I have like a series of tutorials on my YouTube channel and the website where I try to kind of help people develop the mindset rather than just get a recipe or like a technique, understand how to think about skills as a way to customize things. And I teach a workshop now that's kind of a bit more hands-on, really helping people get into using skills.
That's great.
And,
What is so exciting to you about skill? Let me just like ask you straight up. What is the main kind of draw in agent skills before we get to like what they are and how to use them, etc.?
There are really two things. One thing is just that there's a standard. So it's been real frustration to everyone working with agents, mostly the coding agents, but now they're becoming a general purpose thing, that you had this, like every agent had their own ways of setting things up, and some of it quite baroque with some rule files that match on patterns, and you install them in all kind of different places. Finally, we have a standard. Everyone agrees it's now very widely adopted. I think pretty much by all of the big agents. I think this last week saw Cursor and Anti-Gravity and Gemini CLI. They were the last ones not to have it. They now do, at least in their sort of canary channels. And so that's really good. That's progress, that we can all work together. But the more important thing, and this is more of a conceptual thing than a technical fact, is skills are an admission that we now have general purpose agents. So we have general purpose agents that know to go on and on and on and call tools and all of that, and that have an execution environment, a computer they can work with, maybe a laptop, maybe a VM or a container in the cloud. And that's all you need. They do everything you need, except that they don't know what you want to do, and like your knowledge, your workflows, all of that. And that's what you have skills for. So they're very simple. They're just markdown files in a directory. But when it finally clicks that, yeah, we have this, whatever, I don't want to use acronyms or anything like this, but we have the powerful general purpose intelligent system, and we have this very simple mechanism to customize it. That's the big unlock. So super excited about that.
So the big unlock. I was super excited to talk about. I was super excited about today's show, specifically because agent skills clicked for me, I think, in the past week or so. I've been following you for a minute. I saw your super yellow background. Shout out to the yellow background about like agents and skills and everything. And I think you started like popping on my radar when you started collecting the support. And I saw that the support for this open standard is more and more available throughout. And I actually collected some of the support. I think you did as well. So from chat agents, the places where you can chat with an LLM, I think Claude is the only one that supports it. OpenAI doesn't support skills yet. Gemini doesn't support skills yet, etc. In coding IDEs, integrated development environments, I think pretty much across the board support. Cursor supports it, I think, starting from this week. This is the big news that we started from, and this is why I wanted to cover agent skills. Windsurf has been supporting this for a minute, even though they call them something else, but fine, it's still skills. Anti-Gravity announced support also this week. Who else am I missing?
Well, AMP have been the first, I think, one of the first ones to adopt it, so shout out to them.
We'll add Ryan here super quick. And so for coding agents in CLI, that's a broad support. Everybody, Claude Code, obviously one of the major ones, but also AMP, Open Code, pretty much everybody, Codex, everyone supports agent skills. And I think when it clicked for me, and the reason why it clicked for me, why it's useful is that, Eleanor, like you said, these LLMs, and now we're getting to crazy important levels like Opus 4.5, GPT 5.2 Codex, they are really, really good generally. At some point, though, you need to steer them and give them domain expertise. Domain expertise is where it's at, where you, as a developer, you get onboarded to the company, you learn a bunch of this domain expertise. So when you're expected to execute tasks for this company, you are expected to have this domain expertise within your context of your brain. Domain expertise doesn't come from anywhere, and it's a big issue to give this domain expertise to generalized models like Opus, etc. And skills, as far as I got skill pilled recently, is a very easy way to do this in a reproducible way, in a composable way. So let's start with the reproducible and composable, and then we'll get to some examples. Eleanor, can you walk us through like what a skill is and how it looks like? A very simple, basic like example.
How it looks like, it's kind of trivial, right? It's a directory and it has a scale.md, which is a markdown file, and it has a little bit of front matter, a little bit of YAML at the top, where you just say, this is the scale and this is when you should use it. That's all. You can definitely have a few additional things you can put there, but that's the gist of it. That's enough to feed just this metadata to the agent. That's enough for it to recognize when the time comes, oh, I should go grab that scale and see what it does. That's wonderful because it means that you're not stuffing your context with like tons and tons of rules. You're just saying, look, you have this library of things here that you may want to do at some point, and you could have hundreds of them because they take very little. It's maybe like 50 to 100 tokens per scale, just the metadata. And so you can have a huge library of them, some of them general, some of them specific to the project or whatever. And the agent, especially when you look at the last generation of models like Claude 4.5, GPT-5, Gemini 3, they'll figure it out. They'll know when the time comes to grab that scale and start looking inside it, read the markdown file. Then look, maybe there are additional files, some reference files that it should read selectively, progressively, not everything at once, but go and pick the stuff it needs. Maybe there's a script that it should run. It will run the script, and so on and so forth. So it's just this fantastic general purpose extension and customization mechanism.
So I'm going to show the skills that I currently have. Eleanor, you're welcome to talk about this because you have. I'm trying to zoom in and not able to here. So let me try. Oh, I know how to zoom in. Zoom in like this. Yep. I hope that this is better for folks. All right. So I have a few skills, and I've copied the Anthropic one here, the skill creator skill, which I think is wonderfully self-reflecting. If you go to Claude and you ask it, hey, help me build a skill, it has a skill creator skill that actually knows how to do this. Here's the skill MD file. It's a markdown file, like Eleanor said. Let me close this. It's a markdown file that has Eleanor, you mentioned this as a front matter. It's a little top thing at the top of the markdown file that says the name of the skill and the description. The description mentions the skill should be used when blah, 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 blah. This is like a very standard thing at the top of a skill to mention when it should be used. And I think this is like a very important piece of that, is because like Eleanor, like you said, all that in the beginning, all of the context of all of your skills is basically 2 lines: the name of the skill and when it should be used, and its description. Basically, this is it. This is important because when you have tens, hundreds of skills, maybe hundreds of thousands of skills, hopefully not hundreds of thousands, if you were to provide all of this with the full code as previously, your context window would have run out. This is a very genius way to tell the model, hey, you have this capability. If you want to tap into this in what's called a dynamic disclosure or progressive disclosure, depending on where you read, basically the model knows that it can tap into this intelligence, into this domain expertise about this specific way of using things. Kind of like the way that I'm writing an article about this, the way that I define this is kind of like Neo in the Matrix, when they plug them in and he's like, I know Kung Fu. This is skills in a nutshell. This is skills in a nutshell, but the model decides what to load when, what information when, because then at some point it's like, okay, I will load this info and that info. Why is this important? It's important because the agents are generalized, but with skills, they can be more targeted in a very specific task when they need to. And I think that this is like the big unlock. In addition, like Eleanor, you mentioned, there's 3 additional directories that they have. One of them is scripts, and one of them is references, right? And another one is, I think, assets, but I haven't seen assets in a while. So can you talk us through like the additional stuff that the skill can have in addition to just the skill MD?
Yeah, I mean, so this is a convention. It's just like directories with files, but at least we have an agreement that they are there and where to find them. Scripts would be scripts. Maybe you'll have a Python script or a TypeScript is a most common, but it could be anything that can run on a computer, which is great because maybe you want to have something that is formalized as code and not just as a bunch of text in a markdown file. Or maybe you want to, I don't know, do some calculation that makes more sense to do in code or to call an API or whatever. So that's very convenient. References would be more markdown files. So again, this is the idea of progressive loading. Instead of having everything in one big markdown file and slurping it into the context, you can say, okay, there are different aspects here. Maybe, I don't know, different pages of the documentation of the library or something like this, and load them if and when you need them. I'll describe them in the skill.md. And if you think that you need one of them, go and load it. And so again, it's very economical. And assets would be just files. So for example, maybe you're templating something and you want the template to be available, or you have like an image that you always need to paste into something. You'll just put it in assets. So it's just a convention for packaging all of this together, and we all agree on it. All the agents know how to use it, and so that makes it portable.
On that note, I wanted to point out what we're seeing is experts in the field like Vercel, who obviously know probably the most in the world about React and Next.js. They're starting to release sets of skills now. And this is what we all want as devs, right? Like, I write mostly Next.js, TypeScript, and I would prefer to use, off-the-shelf skills from Vercel. So boom, you just point your agent at this, which you're seeing on screen, and it will install the skills for you. And then it's like you've leveled up your agent instantly on the primary topic that you care about, right? So this is exciting.
I think that's great. And maybe one more thing, Alex, because you've shown the skill creator skill.
Yeah.
And I think that's really cool, because the thing people might imagine when they think of these skills and we're describing the directory structure and these files, they think, oh, now I have to like create a directory and go and like edit all these files. But of course, agents are really good at creating agent skills. You bring the knowledge. You just say, here's what I know about this workflow or this library or what I'm trying to do here. And the agent will very handily create the skill for you.
Yeah.
And so you can teach the agent stuff and it learns. And in fact, there's been a lot of talk recently about this continual learning. How will we solve continual learning? It's solved. The problem is solved.
Yeah. I think that the highlight for me when connected is there's not a lot of knowledge to be assumed on behalf of the user. I, as a user, don't really need to know how to build skills. And this only clicked for me when I convinced my manager, shout out Adrian, to allow me to use Claude Max for a second, because Claude, the basic Claude web and Mac interface supports skills. And if you go here into settings and you go into, capabilities, I think, and you scroll down, you have all the way here, you have skills, repeatable, customizable instruction, and Claude can follow to any chat. And then you have example skills and the skill builder skills, like a skill creator is here, MCP builder, internal comms, etc. But the cool thing is, because Anthropic has this skill enabled, it's kind of the composability thing that we're talking about. All you have to do in order as a user to create one is say, hey, create a skill for me that blah, blah, blah. It doesn't matter. At this point, you working in a company, for example, with salespeople, and you want to create a skill based on your sales metrics. You can dump 17 PDF files and say, hey, create a skill for me that writes a sales script or listens to a call. Whatever. You can do whatever. This is a very easy way. This is like where I want like the click that happened to me to happen to somebody who's listening to this. Like, I'm still not sure why do I need this. Generalized agents are generalized. They perform significantly better when domain expertise is loaded into them. LLMs are incredible at in-context learning. However, for generalized agents, you cannot shove everything together at once. The context runs out. This is a way for you to progressively load those skills in so that the agents will be that much better for you. So if you have any area that your LLM has not been good at, like for example, React, maybe it knows React because it was trained on it, but it's not the best on the latest React or whatever. Or maybe it doesn't know best practices. Maybe it learned all of React from all of the internet. You can take the skills that Vercel just released, which is the top ninjas in the world of React. Obviously, they know the best about. Load up your LLM with that skill set, and then look at your React app and say, hey, now with this new skill set, review what I have and tell me what's wrong. Tell me how to improve. You can do this with sales. You can do this with marketing. You can do this with literally everything else. You can do it with taxes, everything else. You bring the knowledge. Skills is making sure that the agent, the generalized agent, can actually execute on this. I think this is the big unlock. This is the big connection for me. Eleanor, anything to add that I missed there?
Yeah, maybe one more thing. I think that will be more interesting to people who've been working a lot with coding agents over the last year and even more. Just to realize that skills, they're like the Joker card of customization because they replace everything. You really don't need anything else. So we used to have this like very rich toolbox of like commands and hooks and a million different things. So you don't need commands anymore because skills are basically the equivalent of commands. You don't necessarily need hooks that much anymore because the agents are so good at following directions. You could just specify a workflow and when this, then that, and they'll follow it. You don't need MCP servers necessarily because you can just tell in a skill like, look, this is how you connect to this API, or this is how you run something locally on my command line. And that's an adequate replacement and lighter. You don't need apps. So a lot of the things I really like to do with skills, they're like something that like previously I would have built a little app for myself. But why bother? If I just have some of the functionality and I'll dump it in the skill and I'll tell it, the interface will chat or you'll present some questions to me. Now I have like my little tool encapsulated in skill. So skills are all you need. I know that it's a little bit corny, but
it's not corny at all. Skills are all you need. I love this, and this is why I brought you, Eleanor, because you've been highly hyper focused on skills. The thing that I'll add that also clicked for me for code, right? So we previously on the show talked about coding agents or generalized agents, right? So you have Claude Code, and many people use Claude Code to do their browsing, taxes, etc. Claude Code. The reason why it's generalized is because it can run code to basically execute everything that it needs. Here's the thing that clicked for me. When you add code in a skill, let me add my thing back here. When you add code in a skill like this, so I have the skill creator, it has init skill py, package skill py, and quick validate py, right? These are three pieces of code that we know works because we ran them before we packaged them in the skill. When you have a skill with a code that's like dedicated to this like one API code with like one specific thing, the agent doesn't have to write code from scratch every time. So the generalized agent technically can write this code because it can look up the thing on the internet. It can know how to write this. It doesn't have to write every time. It can just reuse the tool it already has. This reduces variance because not agents hit all the code at once. This reduces debugging. This reduces like a bunch of stuff. When you package your skill with the specific tools it needs, like API tools, etc., they will repeatedly work versus agents trying to like come up with different things from scratch. I think this is like a big unlock as well. I'm gonna add Wolfram because Wolfram, we both talked about skills. I think you're also like took a look at them. You got excited about your skills working in anti-gravity this week. What's your take on this whole thing? What else is a point where people who are listening to us may say, this is too complex for me. I don't want to get into this. This is like too complex. And they need to, because then it will click and their life will be significantly better.
For me, initially, it was the other way around. So I read about skills when Anthropic announced it, and I thought, so what? I have my skills in my system prompt already. So that's how I got started. I had some stuff like I want my AI to take a screenshot of my desktop so it could see what I'm working on. And I put it in my system prompt. And then I came another tool and another tool. And that is exactly what happens. The context blew up. I had so many tools, or not tools, descriptions of how to use tools and stuff in there. And now we have a standard an easy standard. It's not complicated. You have the skill builder. You can just follow the standard. And the cool thing is the harnesses are being set up for using the skills. So they auto ingest them. You don't have to prompt the agent and tell it in your system prompt, hey, there are skills, you have to go there, you have to look for them. It's all set up for you now. So you just place them there. They can be copied over from another system, like I'm using the Claude skills with anti-gravity. It works beautifully. And it's like Eleanor said about apps. You could just go ahead and write your scripts and do some apps and stuff like that. One thing I implemented with a skill is a to-do list manager. So I give it a screenshot, or it takes a screenshot for me with another skill, and then it manages my to-dos, puts them in the proper format. All of this information, how to do that, I put it in a skill. And the AI has the description, how to add to-dos, how to manage to-dos. And it knows by itself, if I give it a screenshot, it looks at it and says, you can add it to your to-do list. So like you could have written a to-do list app, but now you just give it your general purpose agent, you give it the skills, and suddenly it can do all these things. And one thing I'm going to do is also build a game system for the kids. So we can have the AI as a dungeon master, and everything can be a skill, like fighting. Then it gets the fight rules only when it needs to fight. And you save a lot of context, and you can build all of these things and load them dynamically just as you want them. So many possibilities. It's like writing or programming the AI.
Yeah.
And yeah, I love it. I'm a skill build too. MCP is still useful if you can have a skill that uses your MCP server.
Mm-hmm.
So you tell it what to do. But as Eleanor said, in many cases, you may not even need the server anymore. You just put the API descriptions in the skill, and the AI can do it on its own that way. So yeah.
Thanks, Wolfram. Eleanor, I want to get to maybe one last question from you in terms of like maybe examples. Maybe examples will hit for folks who are not like connecting yet. You've built a few skills for yourself as well. Wolfram described his. Would love to hear your list as well. Some of the ones that like you saw big unlocks. I will just like repeat these three things that connected for me. This is simple to build, simple to add domain knowledge to your agents. It's dynamically discoverable. So the agent itself can upload I know Kung Fu type stuff when it needs to, so you don't pollute the context. They're composable, like Wolfram said. You can have multiple skills doing very small things, and then you can build a whole workflow saying, hey, this skill, then this skill, then this skill. And basically, just because of the description, the LLMs will be able to just like pick them up and then use them composedly. And you can build like very serious, very domain expertise type stuff where like you need to know this and that and this and that. They are open source and loadable. You can like, because it's only directories and files, you can go to Vercels, download theirs, and now your agent is the best React agent in the world because they exposed their expertise. There's ones for UI, etc. Just go look for them. There's a bunch of directories. I think that, and the last thing is the code is always working. Like the code that is included within the skill is not the code that LLM just written just now, so you have to debug it on the fly. It's a code that like somebody already tested and it works. So it's like it's always repeatable and working. All right, let's finish on a few strong notes.
Maybe one more thing I'll add, one more benefit, which again is kind of trivial and yet super exciting. Skills are portable between different agents and different models.
Yes.
Assuming that these are agentic models, the ones that really can execute these things, and are forwards compatible, right? Like no model in the future will be worse than the models we have now at interpreting and understanding the instructions. We don't have to think of like what exact API version did they change it to responsive API from this API? No, because it's just text files. And that's actually really powerful.
That's very powerful. And Eleanor, so you said the magic word for me to queue up kind of what I wanted to show. But meanwhile, I wanted to give you like 2 minutes to highlight the skills that you built for folks to maybe go and check them out, but also like to show us why they were important for you to build. And then I'll show something exciting that I built this week as well using Ralph.
Yeah, cool. So first of all, go to agenticventures.com, go to my personal website. I share a lot. Also on X, I usually share like gists of new skills like a few times a day, just when I have a cool idea. Some cool things I've done. So the thing that really convinced me like a few months ago when Anthropic did it, I had like this app that I actually coded. It was before agentic coding for doing flashcards with AI, because I'm a bit of a flashcard nut. And I was like, just to amuse myself, for like, what would happen if I give it the app and tell it to make it a skill? So I just like took all the files, all the code from the app, and dumped it into Claude, the chatbot, and told it, hey, can you make a skill out of it? And this is it. I replaced the app. I never use the app anymore because I have a skill. It took like 10 minutes to create. This convinced me. This is when I got skill pilled. Since then, I've done some tools, like I have a skill for Nano Banana and GPT 1.5 so that I can generate images. I have skills that are kind of replacement for MCP. So I used to use Mark It Down a lot. And I realized I don't need an MCP. I can just run the tool with a scale. I have like one that connects to AppStash, and I use it like as a key value store for many different tools, like little tools and processes that I built. So things like this. I drive out the models. So I have like, I have GitHub Copilot CLI, and I can run like Codex and Gemini, and I can drive it from Claude. So it's kind of nice when I need like a code review. Lots of things like this, and lots of also skills specific to a project. Like, I don't know, recently for my recent course, I figured out a nice way to generate slides with like a combination of slide V and Nano Banana. There's a skill in the repo for that I use. So yeah, the other thing, check out a little bit these little video tutorials I have, because I think the important thing there is not to have a specific skill you can download, but to get the concept. For example, that you can teach by doing. So one way to create a skill that I really like doing is, instead of telling it, build me a skill that does this, just doing the thing. Like I do, like, hey, let's look at the CSV file and help me create a report, and let's change a little bit. I actually want a pie chart instead of a bar chart. And after all of that, I'm telling it, okay, now build a skill that does what we just done here, because I want to do it with additional files. And that works great.
Yeah.
So,
I think there's a lesson here for sure. So thank you so much for joining us and shining the light on skills. The thing that you got built super quick. There's a lesson here, and I've seen many people say, "Hey, the best way to build skills to get started is if you use an AI a lot, like a specific AI that has access to its chats. Review all my conversations with you. Here's the skill spec. You just send the skill website itself and say, hey, build me a skill that can." For stuff that I do repeatedly with you. And then the AI will find out itself what you do repeatedly. I have a bunch of stuff for ThurdAI, for example. I have to create a thumbnail, I have to create the infographic stuff. I have to summarize news in a specific way. All of these things I will now turn into skills. I haven't yet, but I will. Eleanor, thank you so much. I want to bring everybody else here to kind of to talk about Ralph and skills and everything. So, in preparation for ThurdAI yesterday, I started to write like what are skills, just for me, just to like make sure that I'm not missing any part of it. I read Eleanor's stuff, I read like a bunch of other people's stuff. Like, okay, I need to like ramp up on skills. I wish I had the ability to use skills. I would just upload everything, but no, humans don't work this way. So I actually need to read stuff. So I started writing stuff. The best way for me to learn is writing stuff. And then at some point I stopped. I was like, okay, how to use skills. My main resistant point to using skills was, first of all, I didn't understand what they were. I had Claude Code, whatever. And second of all, I wanted them in the chat interface with Claude. I didn't want to go to Claude Code, the CLI, etc. I wanted them in chat interface. And the only chat interface, as far as I know, that supports skills is Claude, the web that you need to pay for. I haven't paid for it until this last week. And now I am a max subscriber, at least for this month. And then I was like, can I use skills with other chat things? No, yes, no. And then I remembered last week, our friend Ryan Carson here that drinks coffee taught me about Ralph, and he's wearing a Ralph polo, and taught me about Ralph. And Ralph is a way to have your agents code anything that you want. And then I also remembered that I have this app. It's called Chorus, and Chorus is basically a way for you. How do I zoom in on Chorus? Okay, like this. Chorus is an app that lets you talk with any LLM that you want and compare the answers between three models. Okay, so it works with OpenRouter. Right now, I have, for example, Codex and Gemini and Anthropic Cloud Opus, and it uses the API behind the scenes to kind of talk to them. So it's not entirely like Claude Code, but it is very, very close. And then I remember that Chorus just recently went open source because the guys who built it are focusing on something else entirely. And then I remember that I have Claude Code Max subscription, and I know Ralph, and basically I know what I need. So I've added, this is the big reveal. I've added skill support to Chorus. And now you can use skills, the same skills that you have already installed with Chorus on every LLM out there. So GPT 5.2 Codex, the one that was released yesterday, you can now use it with your own skills in a chat interface. You could obviously use it in Codex and all the added support. When I say I added support, this wasn't me. This is me defining what I want and building a Ralph loop for a Claude Code to actually go and build everything. And when I say everything, it took 3.5 hours. You can see the new settings panel here in skills, including the icon that it chose completely. You can see the skills themselves with a refresh button being loaded from my file system, the directories for skills. You can see kind of the extraction of the markdown front matter, which describes what skills are. You can see
Alex, tell
everybody
what Chorus is, because I think some people don't know.
Okay, back to Chorus then. Chorus is a unified chat interface that connects to any LLM in the world via Open Router or any API key. You can provide your API keys to literally all of the apps. Hopefully, it doesn't show my API keys. So you can do Anthropic, OpenAI, Open Router, Perplexity, XAI, 1B interface. And then what skills do you have? And once you have them connected, you choose which models you want, and you'll see side-by-side examples of those models. And now with the skills are also enabled. So now you can ask, what skills do you have? And these models, obviously, Opus is skill-pilled like we are. But here's an example of GPT 5.2 Codex, a model that was used just yesterday, knowing that it has a daily prep skill and a skill creator skill and a thumbnail creator skill and a ThurdAI blog writer skill. And all of these skills are now cross-supported for all models. And you can ask, and you can see the comparisons. You can see the models answer differently with different speeds. And you can install this right now if you want to use skills and you don't have the Claude subscription. And you want to run or test out skills with a skill creator, you can use this right now. I will add the link to the show notes. But basically, it's on my GitHub. It's not yet in the official app. It wasn't accepted, but 3.5 hours, like 4 or 5 different UI components, extraction of skills, understanding of how to inject them in the context, all of this. And now we have the ability to run skills with any LLM. And this is the way that I learn skills, by using skills.
So, question on this: now that you are a skill pro, and you should probably sell these, is are we going to move to a skill marketplace? Because I actually spent $200 on a set of skills from the Boring Marketer, and it was worth every single little penny of that. So I'm kind of curious how skills are gonna shape out. Eleanor, I don't know if you've got any skills that either you give away or sell, but I think this is going to become a thing. And I'm not trying to sell skills here, but I think it could be a thing.
Yeah, finding the right skills, that is also something I've been thinking about. How do you create the skills? Where do you get them? Like MCP registries were a thing, or are a thing. And now will we have skill registries? I mean, it's easy to do yourself. You don't even have to have programming expertise. And I think the domain expertise is the most important thing, though you will always know best what you exactly want. So even if you get them from another source, you probably want to modify them so they work for you.
Yep.
I also think that somehow reuse, which is something those of us coming from software engineering, we have ingrained into us. But I think it's becoming less important. Like, I often look at skills that are somewhere on GitHub or in a skill directory, and I use it for inspiration. But then doing your own version is so easy. Why compromise? Why use something that's not exactly what you want?
I think that there's going to be LDJ. Go ahead, and I'll finish the show on this.
Yeah, when we're talking about curating skills and all that, I think it's interesting. I'm kind of thinking of how we have things like AI scientists from Sakana and these automated runs of being able to, on its own, pursue and optimize a line of research. And I'm wondering, maybe a line of research will start to come up around having automated creation of skills, having a bunch of agents go off for multiple days or weeks, just dedicated to trying to find the best possible skills for a certain task, and then just automated creation of skills, basically.
Yeah, I think I'll finish on this. I think a lot of companies already understanding why skills are very important. They're easy to manage. You can to turn your docs into skills, etc. You can build AI agent that are domain experts in internally. You can share skills via Git. That's also something we should mention, that like other people, skills can be global to the user or local to the directory, right? So like every product that you have can have its own skills and how to build this directory, how to test it, etc. And I think that the marketplaces will come, but also many people will just like do this for free, like people do it now with end-to-end workflows, where people understand that like domain expertise is not enough. Yeah, Ryan, go ahead.
But what's interesting, so I literally am using AMP in the background here to grab these React skills. And obviously I want them to be in my skills folder, but that's a Git repo. And so what I'm doing is actually creating a symlink to the repo somewhere else on my drive. Because yes, of course, there's a million skills you want to make yourself. But the truth is, like, there's a lot of experts out there who spend a lot of time thinking about a skill. And I'd rather Git pull like whenever they, update that versus have some. So I think that's going to become a thing, which is going to be fun.
And we should mention that skills were created by Anthropic, then became a global standard, open standard on December 18th or so, and the adoption shows it. And like any open standard, it will evolve. Maybe there's going to be versioning. Like Ryan already said, there's already versioning. Maybe there's going to be marketplaces dedicated. We saw tons of marketplaces for MCP pop up, and now there's marketplaces for MCPs and skills, etc. So that all is going to happen, folks. This is the reason why I was super excited about the show. I was able to use skills and use agent skills. Let's call them agent skills because we actually humans, we have actual skills. I was able to use the skills that I learned on the show last week to develop this thing that I think if I were at the startup doing traditional software development, this would have taken a week and a half. Planning out, doing the PRD, writing the settings plan, like talking to developers, talking to designers, like a whole thing. This just happened in like 3 hours by using the skills that we kind of bring you here at the edge of agentic coding. It's incredible. The time that we have to live in is incredible. I'm very, very happy that we are dedicated to knowing everything that happens and bringing you everything that happens every week. Skills is a big thing that I really wanted to for quite a while. As we were MCP skilled last year, now we're skill build as well, and there's a big appreciation in my heart for everybody who like comes and shares their knowledge and gets people excited. And hopefully, some of you who were not skill build before this week's show are.
Alex, I'm going to give you an idea that I think will make you a lot of money. I think you're very good at preparing for podcasts. I think you're very good at producing podcasts, and I feel like you should make some skills, and we will all buy them.
All right.
Please do that. Thank you.
I have a bunch of skills that I need to prepare for the show, but the one skill that I do have is finishing ThurdAI with a big like end of show credit. So, folks, very exciting week in AI. We just finished talking about agent skills, but before this, we talked about GPT 5.2 Codex, and we talked about Anthropic Cowork, which is a new offering for non-techie people to run code on their computer. There's a lot more in open source that we've covered, a new thing for GLM, and skills from labs like Vercel that can uplift your agents to new heights of technology skills that they have. You should, if you missed any part of the show, and if you tuned in live, everything is recorded and edited and boiled down to a newsletter and a podcast that will release on Thursday because it's ThurdAI. I really appreciate everybody here. Nistan Teirai, Ryan, Carson, LDJ, Wolfram, Ravenwolf, Jan Peleg, and then we have Eleanor Gerber joining us as a deep dive into agent skills. As always, ThurdAI is available everywhere where you get your podcast. It's free. If you want to support the podcast, the best way to do so is, well, you can support on Substack for $6 a month if you want to, but also to just share it with your friends and give us a 5-star rating everywhere where you listen to a podcast. It's been great. We'll see you here next week with a very, very exciting thing. I think that next week I'm going to tell you about CloudBot. I'm not ready yet, but I'm coming very close to tell you about this like incredible mind-blowing thing that is happening behind the scenes that none of you know about yet. CloudBot is that thing, and it's just like really, really something. So look forward for next week. It's going to be also exciting. Thank you so much. Please, if you're in San Francisco, come join our hackathon. I would love to see you there. And with that, have a great week and look forward to the rest of the show recorded. Bye-bye, everyone. Bye-bye.